Well, hey guys, welcome to my channel, welcome to the stream, welcome to another video. This is another video, part 6, working on this guy right here. So let me run the intro and we'll get started, okay? Well guys, we are working on our Tamiya 148 scale F-16C Aggressor. Now, I don't know if it's a C/N. I don't know if that's, you know, when you're looking at the box, which is, this is just a picture of the box right there, F-16C/N Aggressor/Adversary. Now, Adversary is just French, right? It's because, well, I'm in the Canadas and we got to have French on our packages, so yeah, F-16C, I think that N, the /N, that might be French. I don't know. You tell me in the description or leave a comment down below. Anyway, we are continuing on our build. Last time we were looking at the landing gear, the main landing gear. Okay, now I did do a little bit of painting ahead of time just to catch up and be able to continue on. I do have one little bit I want to put on here before we continue, and then we're going to skip because I'm not actually going to install our wheels yet, because when I have these actually in here, wherever they go something like that, roughly something, maybe it's like this. Anyway, they're going to sit something like this in there, and now I'm going to have to mask all around that in order to paint the fuselage body. So I'm going to leave these out, and I will install that basically after I've done painting at least the bottom part of the plane. So that means I'm going to skip ahead, skip some steps, and continue on with other stuff. So let me change the camera and we will continue on, and I'll actually change my glasses too. Okay, so let's get these out, ready to go. So the one thing I did want to get installed today, I want to put in this little box that's here. Okay, now I painted that up. We're supposed to paint this blue and silver or aluminum, and so I've done that. Okay, I have done that, and that's this little guy right here. Okay, he's all nice and blue here with aluminum box on the side with the frame all white. Okay, so I did that, and so he's ready to be installed. So let's get my various glues out here. He is going to go right down here on this little bar. There's a little notch here, right? So I'm going to put some glue down there and set him in his new home. A little bit of glue on that little slot, not slut, slot. And he's going to sit down like that. Preferably straight. There we go. There's his home. Okay, realize I just really did that off the side of the camera. Let me see if I can adjust my camera real quick. Get a little more centered to my actual workspace. This will line up here. Let me see. Bear with me a moment. Let's try. There. That's a little bit better. Okay. That's a little more centered. Okay, so now he's kind of sitting there, but he's only glued just a little bit. So a little bit there, and a little bit here. It does just barely touch the edge on this particular lip, and that's just fine. That's even points that out in the instructions that it is just supposed to sit on that little edge. And then that's it. We have him installed. Okay, so that's that little box that gets to sit there and be happy in its new home. So with that done, We have our arms here that are supposed to go to the bay doors on each side. I'm not putting them on. They go here and here. I mentioned that last time. I just have them sitting here on my little alligator clips. They're ready to be installed, but we're not doing that yet. Skip down to here. We put another brace in that goes across here. We're not doing that just yet. We're just going to skip this whole section and including this one. Okay. Just this whole from here down, we're just skipping. Okay, we're going to flip the page over, and it looks like we're doing our air intake next, so let's get to it on that. Okay, so I have already kind of pre-painted most of this. I'm going to say most because it's not totally. Okay, so we got to grab H5 and H9 and J19 and sandwich, make a little sandwich here. So like I said, I've already got them kind of pre-painted. This is off our H tree, so I've got this done, and I even pre-weathered it to just to make things a little bit easier. You guys saw how I did the weathering on the main landing gear bay, so there's no need to show you guys twice. It's the same procedure there. So that's those ones. And now I need J19. Is this J? Yes. J19 is this guy right here. Okay. There we go. And once I got these together, what I want to do is I want to spray a clear coat over all of this to seal it all in, so that I haven't weathered this part yet, and I need to weather that, right? So this guy goes on top here. Let's put him in the same direction. He's going to go on top, and he's going to fit just like that. Okay, so let's just hold him in place and put some glue on him. It's nice. Tamiya got the contour on this perfect, so that it really matches the contour of the main part. So let's go all around here with some glue. Make sure it's all nice, snug and tight. There we go. Okay. Alright. So we put these together now. Wrong way. Little tabs that line up here, here and here to get that together. And of course we have our nice ugly little seam inside there. That's probably going to be seen pretty good. And in fact, the graininess of my white paint job inside is going to be very visible. This isn't quite smooth, so I want to sand this down and smooth that out if I can. Let's try some 1000 grit sanding sponge and see if I can smooth that out. Unfortunately, that makes it really dirty and nasty looking, which means I need to paint it again. I need to lay down a nice smooth coat of white and not have it really rough looking. So unfortunately, that means I need to spray paint this again. I find sometimes with Tamiya paints, I lay down one coat and it's fine. It looks great, or it looks pretty good, but I don't have full coverage, so I kind of lay down, while I'm painting, I lay down another coat. Oops, I've got blue paint on there. What the heck? What the hell? Ah! Well, I just ruined that. Now I really got to lay down some. Okay, so now that I've laid that down, I just accidentally put blue on there, which means I need to prime this again. And and yeah, I need to put down some primer on there now. So let's just grab it from here, and I'll grab my Mr. Surfacer 1500 gray, and let's turn this gray again, kind of starting from scratch. Okay, that will get rid of that nasty blue streak I just put on there, so that I've got a nice base for my white. I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to use T26 pure white. I'm just going to spray it with this, rather than getting my air compressor and my airbrush all going. And while I'm at it, I think I'm going to sand this one down. I might as well do them both at the same time. Might as well get it done, do it right. Okay, so I'm going to use a different part of my cloth here and wipe that off. There we go. Okay, this one's ready for a nice coat. Okay, so I'll do that. While my primer's just, I want to give this a minute or so to dry. I'm going to put a coat onto this one. There's a nice little peg I can grab onto. Like that. Okay. And just nice and shiny. Okay. Let that sit. I can see a bit of a sheen. I got a couple of pieces of dust in there, but that's fine. Dust is not a big deal. Well, actually it is. When it comes to this, you don't want dust. So I'm going to grab 4000 grit and just kind of see if I can convince that dust to lay down or get out of there. That's better. Anytime you try and get a nice shiny coat, dust seems to really love that. I don't know why. It's my experience anyway. Flat paint, dust doesn't care. Glossy paint, that just attracts dust. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm going to spray some white into that now. Okay, now clearly this is not the same shade as that, so I'm going to have to put a couple of coats onto this one to get that just as white as that. Okay, so I'm going to have to let that dry now. So if we look down and continue on, there's not much I can do. I have to wait before I can put these two around that. And the other thing I need to do is I'm going to have to deal with the seams. And what I'm planning on doing once I get these together, what I plan on doing is putting some of my Vallejo plastic putty. I'm actually going to put it in between and kind of sandwich the putty in between them. That will make it squeeze out through, and then I can just kind of wipe it away on the inside. That's my plan anyway, as an attempt to clean that up. Yeah, moving all down and moving onto this, it can't really do much. So I'm just going to have to wait. Now you get to watch paint dry. Isn't that fun? Yeah, fun stuff. See? Piece of dust right there, which I'm going to have to wait for the paint to dry, because I'm going to see that little bump in there, and that's going to look nasty, and I don't want that. Again, there's nothing else I can do. I have to wait for the paint to dry before I can do that. Is there anything else I can move on while the paint is drying? Let's flip the page over again and see what's next after this. After this, we're going to be putting the landing gear in there, so we don't want to do that. There's a couple of other things. Looks like our front landing gear bay door is 2 pieces, and that needs to go together. I can do that right now while my paint is drying. I'm just going to move this out of the way so I don't accidentally hit it. And I'll do the same with this. So off of our R4 and J16. Well, I got J right here. J16 is our little door here. Okay, and then I need R4. Oh, nice enough to put everything. Oh no, that's H. I'm sorry. Where's my R4? R, right here. Right there, this guy. R4. Alright. Let's clean up our nubs, make sure they're nice and smooth. That's nice. Okay, so take this, 2 holes, 2 pegs. Let's do a test fit. Just like that. Now, of course, I could have just put these together first and then painted them white, but I painted them while they're on the sprue, so yeah, it is what it is. Put a little bit of glue in here. There we go. So there's our door. Again, I'm going to clear coat this so that I can put my weathering on there without too much. Okay, so that's that. I can put these 2 together, which will eventually go on here. So let's look. We're going to do all 4. We're going to use this part. If we're doing A, C, or D, then we need to drill a hole through there. And then we want F21. So F, off of our F tree. Where's my F tree? There it is. Before I do this, I'm going to check this. I think this should be, yeah, it's a little tacky, but it's okay. I'm going to try and get that little blemish down a little bit here. You know, it's tacky. It's just risky trying to sand when your paint is tacky. I just want to get rid of that bump. That's better. Okay, I'm going to do another coat on this. I might have to do 3 or even 4. Okay, so where were we here? F-22. Not the airplane, the part. F-22 is a build that I am going to be doing soon. F-21. I think F-22 is going to be next, actually, after this F-16. As an acquaintance of mine would like an F-22 built for his model collection and asked me if I would do one. And so, you know, you guys haven't heard me say this in a long time, but I do take requests. You guys are thinking about doing a particular build and you'd like me to do one, and just kind of so you have an idea of any difficulties or anything, then go ahead. leave a comment down below and ask me. Or better yet, come onto my Twitch channel and ask me live. Okay, so we're supposed to drill a 2mm hole. Looks like right in the center of this. Right there. Bing. They don't have any recess there, and no, they haven't bothered there. But I need a 2mm hole, which this is roughly 1. So I'm going to try, see if I can get this centered in there. It's roughly the middle. I'm going to skip ahead and look and see what's supposed to go right there. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead. They show the hole here, nothing there. So let's see at what point do we put something there. Okay, that's where it would be there, and then here. Let's find it. Nothing, 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 nothing. Cockpit, missiles. Our center rack for this guy. The jamming pod. The jamming pod goes there. So, I need to find this piece right here. That's the one that's going to go into that hole. So I need to make sure my hole is big enough for that pin. That is part number... Why don't they show it? They show it as A. So what is A? What is A? That is kind of strange. They don't show it. I'm going to have to just try and find it on the sprues. Okay. Because they don't. They got X7, X6, X1. But then this is A. So let's look at the X tree. Okay. Let's find our X tree here. X obviously is going to have all of our missiles on it. Here we go. See, X has the jamming pod, but it doesn't have the mount for it. So I got to hunt for that. It has to be somewhere. Let me skip ahead here. Go back to that. So I'm kind of going all over the place. Oh, here we go, here we go. On the previous page, so this is A, right? This is A, so if you go back to the previous page, it shows them here. A is this pod, right? This is B. So this is a center line pylon. We want J2 and J21. I need to put them together. Okay, so I'm going to do that. J2 and 21. So let's put our X-Man back and our C trees. All these other ones, so I need J2 and 21. So here's J, there's 21 and 2 right there. So let's get these off of here. I can already tell It's a much bigger hole than what I drilled right there, just by that. But I'll put these two together. Like that. Not quite. There we go. I'll glue them. Okay, now let that set for a moment. Put another coat of white on my piece here. Alright, I think that's enough for that one. Okay, so let's find a drill bit that's going to fit that. I think this one is just a little too big. Actually really close. I think it's just a hair too big. So let's get one that's just a little smaller. Like this one. We'll start with this one and we'll go from there. Let's get that drilled out. Okay, do a test. Not quite, really close. But this is where you can use your drill bit and put it at a bit of an angle. So you just kind of go like this and you can kind of make your hole bigger, right? Put a little pressure on the sides and just make the hole that little bit bigger than the bit. So it's close. See, that's almost going to go in, so let's just do it again. No. Almost. So let's get rid of our little burr. I think I'm at a point where when I got glue on the peg, it'll probably fit. It'll probably go in. It's really close. Yeah, see, there we go. It's just a really tight fit. So, just gonna make sure. There we go. Perfect. Perfect fit. Alright, so we don't have to worry about that now. This one, I'm just going to clean up our nubs. Our nubs? My nubs. Make sure that's a nice smooth surface for our jamming pod to mount to. Later on. Alright. So, I'm going to put this back in the box, just so that you don't have to worry about it. Okay? There we go. Now that I have that done, let's flip back to this. This guy, facing this direction, this is supposed to go in like that. You go on that part there like this. And that is a tight fit on there. Until it's flush, that's perfect. So I will glue these together. Just like that. So those are together, those are ready. Okay. Now, flip back to our intake. I think my intake is finally ready. Finally ready to go together. This is now really white. We've got 3 coats on there. 3 coats of white. And it seems to match this pretty good now. So these go together like so. And once again, see, I've got that kind of really ugly looking parting line in there. Okay. And my paint job looks much smoother than the one I did when I airbrushed it, because I was horrible with the airbrush. Okay, it's actually a little sticky now. So I'm going to put a little bit, I actually want to get rid of a little bit of paint on my edge. I've got a lot of paint on this thing now, and so I want to get rid of some of it. Got a lot of paint. This is thick on here now. So let's just sand that down a little bit. Of course, my paint is a little sticky, so, but that's okay. That's all right. We're actually a little bit, yeah, I just put a little fingerprint there. This is not ready yet, but we can still put it together. So I was planning on putting the putty in there and sandwich it in there. I'm not going to bother doing that. I am going to put these together like this, and we're going to glue them. There we go. Okay. So, those are glued together now. Which means the next step, we can put our H4 and H10 and our J23 in there. Okay? But H4 and H10, let's find those off of our H tree. It's these 2 pieces here. All right. Now these are going to go together sort of like this. You see the nubs on there don't look very nice, so I'm going to use my razor file to get rid of that nub. And this one here too. Smoothen up those lines and make them a little smooth and a little nicer. This side doesn't matter so much, but I am going to have to get rid of this one. Is that a nub? I've got them on both sides. That might actually be a guiding pin. Yeah, they show it here in the picture. Thank you, Tamiya. A bit of flashing here. And the ejector pin. Okay, this one, clean up. Alright. So, these go on like this. This is the front. Therefore, this sits like that. See this? These two pegs, they go in these holes here like this. Just like that. And that's a tight fit. Very tight, actually. Before I do that, I want to sand down the front of this. This is just got a bit of a burr on it. There we go. Okay, so that goes like that. And I already know that's a good fit. Let's do a test on this one. Same thing. Just like that. And like that. Goes together really nice. Everything fits perfect. So, let's pull it apart. Put glue on our pegs. Glue it in there nice. Go. Now, inset on these. A couple other spots where it touches, so we can do that, get that nice and glued in where it's touching the other piece together. I am putting a little bit of pressure holding this together so that our parting line is a minimum. Just so that it's going to stay and it's going to look good. Alright. So next is this J23 that I'm supposed to paint titanium and put that in through this hole that I was supposed to do first before putting this together. So let's see if I can pry this apart now. That's a thanks a lot to Tamiya for pointing that out, that I should have put that in there first. It's supposed to go through this hole right there and paint that titanium. So let's find J23. That's H, I think this is J. Yeah, J23. Right here. That guy there. I seem to recall maybe another F-16 model kit where this is actually a piece of photo etch. So this is supposed to go through like this. I've got so much paint on there, this is not tight. And it's supposed to go through and just line up right there. Like that. I think if I do paint this, it's going to wind up being stripped off. Now, do I have titanium? I have titanium in my AK Extreme Metal, but this is meant to be sprayed. So basically, look at that. That's a nice silverish color. This is too bright of a silver, so I don't want to use that. I don't want to use aluminum. So I'm going to grab my metallics box where I keep a whole plethora of my silvery colored paints. Let's see if I can find something that represents it a little bit better in a Tamiya color. Chrome silver. This is X11 chrome silver. That's how it looks. I've sprayed the lid on it, and that looks pretty close to titanium. Titanium maybe has a little bit of a warmer tone to it. Let me see what else I can find here. You know what? I just found X32 titanium silver in the Tamiya color. It's not identical to this, but it's good enough. I don't even have a ball in there. I don't think I've never used this one. I opened it up and I sprayed it out of the jar, but I didn't put a ball in there. Look how gold that is, eh? You guys see that? Did I do that on camera? I wasn't looking. Look at the goldish color of the titanium. Okay, let's shake this up. It's been sitting for a while. Like I said, I've never used it. All right. Yeah, see, now it's not quite so goldish. So, let's grab an alligator clip. I should have painted this while it was on the sprue, but we're okay. If I was really lazy, I'd just dip it in there. But there we go. Now it's titanium. Just like that. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to shove this through here. I know that paint's going to get stripped off. So I'm just going to touch this up on the inside there. There we go. Alright, that's in. And now I'll clean the brush off. That really shocked me when the blue paint on my paper towel was not dry. I was not expecting that at all. Okay, so with that on there, I can glue these back together. Wasn't that fun? That was a fun little adventure. Now I gotta figure out which way this goes. There we go. Okay. Okay. We're kind of back in business. Let's get this back together the way it was. right. Now we're back together just the way we're supposed to be, and with that in there. Now another thing I could have done is I could have notched this out to be able to put that piece in there, right? I could have left it together. Let's say I didn't notice it right away, and I could have just cut this out a little bit to be able to fit that piece in through there. I could have done that. That would have been an option if you had maybe gone too far and you let it sit and then realized you have to put this in later or first, right? So with that the way it is, what's going to make it a little difficult now is filling in our seam here and here, right? That's going to be a bit difficult now because it's all together and I've got that thing in there. So, but it's not the end of the world because I can still get in there with this. I can get in there like that and fill that in, right? And then I can use a little sanding stick. I've got little tiny sticks like this big here. I got these off of the internet. I've got these. And that can get in there, go all the way down in there, and I can get in there, right? And that won't be too bad, okay? Another thing, of course, I've got these, and they almost will fit in there, but they're a little too thick, they're a little big, right? That's not gonna work so well. But it's an option. You could trim this down, right? Or you can use paper. You could use paper, get some nice, 500 grit paper, put it around you could put it around a paintbrush handle around there. You get it wrapped around there and you can get in there like that and go in there like that and get in those areas like that. So that's going to be different options. So now I'm going to put some putty in there and I'm going to go down as far as I can and just kind of squirt some in there. Like that. And like that. Okay, again, you can only go down as far as that needle goes, right? So that's kind of your limitation. I can almost go all the way. I can go in from the back too. Like that. So I've only got just a little bit of a gap kind of in the middle right around here that I can't reach. And that's just the way it is. And that's where the plan of putting it in there and putting it along the line there and then putting the two together and having it squeeze through, that was my idea. Anyway, first going into this, but then the whole painting thing came up and all that. So what I want to do now is just kind of smoothen that out a little bit while it's wet. Okay, so I want to use something not quite, I'm going to use the tip of this. This is kind of roundish, and I can actually use the tip to kind of push it down into the middle like this, like that. I actually get quite a bit of excess coming off of there. So now with that, I was actually able to push excess amounts into the middle to try and to kind of get rid of that. So that was nice. The nice thing about this Vallejo plastic putty is it's water-based. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a cleaner one and I'm going to wrap it around here a little bit, like this. I don't need a lot, so I'm just going to tear a little strip off of this. This particular paper towel I use is kind of industrial stuff, so it's pretty tough. It's not your regular towel, paper towel. Okay, so do that, wrap it around that. And now I'm going to wipe it away. Excess stuff. And now my gap, at least the gap, although not perfect, it looks a lot better and is much less noticeable looking through there. A lot less noticeable. It's not perfect. I'm not a sculptor and I don't do all that stuff. So making it so that it's kind of hidden, that's my goal. Okay? And that's what I want to do. So there we go. It looks much, much better. So I don't need any sanding. I'm not going to do anything special with it now. That is, as far as I'm concerned, good enough. Okay? Alright, next step. We have this guy. He's our little cone that's going to go on there. And we've got a piece that's going to go up top and a couple of pieces that go on these edges. Okay? So let's start with our little pieces. H6 and H7. And we need H8. So that's these 6, 7, and 8. We need all of those. I really should clean up my drill bits before I wind up dumping them somewhere, such as the floor, where it's going to be hard to find them. Also need this guy here. For whatever reason, Tamiya has not told us what's. Oh, it's H11 right there. It's pretty obvious which part it is, though. Okay, that actually finishes off our H sprue. This is done. Finished. How about that? It's always kind of nice when you get to the last part on a sprue and the sprue is done. You really start to feel like, hey, I'm making some progress on it, and I'm going to be done soon. Okay, so we're going to clean these up before we install. Now they want the inside of this painted neutral gray. I kind of did white at first, thinking it was supposed to be white, but they want it neutral gray. I do have neutral gray. That's the XF-53. Which, ironically enough, a big part of the plane is going to be that color. Now, of course, Tamiya calls out for AS7, which is spray paint, and that is, I believe, medium gray, AS7. This guy's going to go on like that. It's going to tuck in right there, just like that. It doesn't really fit very well. This side fits good if I press it down. This side is a little more finicky. I have to press a little harder, and it's not very flush here. So I'm going to get rid of that little tab, these two little tabs here and here. I'm going to get rid of those. I'm not 100% sure those are what's causing the issue, but they might be, so they're going to go. It's not the first time on this kit that I've removed tabs, alignment pins. I imagine it won't. It might not be the last time. Okay, so that's in, so I'm going to hold this tight and glue that side. This is the kind of thing where I would love to be able to have some kind of a clamp that would hold it, but the nature of the curvature of this clamp's just going to go slide, slide, slide. Rubber bands might work good. if you got rubber bands small enough to get it in there, that would help out probably. I don't want to let go of this until I'm sure it's going to hold. Looks like we're good. Just put a little bit of glue along here. And we'll go along here. Okay. This side is not nearly, doesn't require nearly as much to hold it. I feel like I'm doing a lot of this close to the chest, and I'm not really showing you guys very much. It's always at the bottom of the screen. Let's try that. That might be a little better. Okay, that's holding nicely. And this is holding nicely, so I'm going to say this part's done. I don't think this seam is going to be ever seen. This kind of goes up against the fuselage, the belly of the plane, like that, and I don't think you're going to see it. So I'm not going to bother with that. So let's take our little side pieces here. Which side did they go? Not this side. Am I sure? No, I'm not. It appears got a little bit of flashing here. Appears to be a guide pin right here, but there's nothing there. I have this upside down according to that picture. Again, we've got ejector pin flashing right here. So I guess this is supposed to go on this side. Oh yeah, okay, and that guide pin lines up right behind it, and that's where it's supposed to. But doing that leaves me a gap. So I've got to get rid of that pin. Again, the pin doesn't help. The pin hinders. See, now it lines up there. Now it lines up. So, glue on there, through there, through there. Just make sure it's flush and it's flat. That should be straight along there. You shouldn't feel any lip on that edge. That should be nice and level there. Okay. Again, I'm not sure why we've got this kind of sitting out as a little lip. And since that side didn't want to go in properly with the pin on there, I'm going to get rid of the pin on this side too. Put that on them there. Okay. It does leave me with a tiny little gap. right here, there's where there's a little gap there. A little lesser one here, but still there. There's not really anything I can do there, other than a little bit of putty. A little bit of putty will fix that. Okay, so we have this guy. This is our final piece to go in there, and he's supposed to go like this, just like that. Okay, but it's supposed to be medium gray, and then put it on there, right? So what I need to do, as you can see, my line there is not perfect. It's not a perfectly straight line, and I want to fix that. So I want to make sure this is nice and smooth and flat. I want my seam to be straight. And that definitely cleaned it up. Cleaned it up a lot. Up top here, it's not the best, but I don't care about the top. You're never going to see that. That's going to want to go on the belly of the plane. This needs to be lined up perfect. And that's what I want, just like that. Okay? But I need to paint this guy. I want to paint him so I get a nice line, nice crisp line through there, so that's good. Okay? So, I'm going to paint this guy. Which means I'm going to use my neutral gauge F-16C, and I'm going to fire up my air compressor and give this a quick little coat, which means I have to reassemble my airbrush because I was spray painting the rope white earlier on the various small parts. Make sure my glue is all closed while I'm doing this, and parts are out of the way, drill bits are cleaned up, that's cleaned up. This is out of the way, glue's out of the way, instruction book out of the way. Don't want to be accidentally knocking things around and knocking them over. So this is already thinned. I've got thinner in this already, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. Put some in my brush. Only need a tiny bit just to paint that small part. With the paint thinned, I could technically brush it on there. You just have to put it thick enough so that when the paint levels out, it doesn't show your brush strokes. Now, with that part being the way it is, I'm going to do this, and I think I'm just going to make a little, no, I'm going to do this. And do this. Let's put that like that. And then hold on to it like this. Just like that. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly spray this. Okay, so that's done. It's gray now. Just going to make sure I got it covered properly. Got a good solid coat on there. That's good. That's much better. Looks a little bit. The main thing was when I mask, I'm going to have to mask the inside here, and I don't want to have to match up that line absolutely perfectly. In fact, sometimes it's actually better to mask before you even put that part on. Then at least you've got the masking tape already in there and you don't have to worry about it, right? What other guys do is they just shove a bit of a sponge in there and don't worry about it that much. The important thing is I've got that line. That line is going to be nice and crisp between the gray and the white. This already being painted now is going to be perfect. Okay, so I just need to drain my brush of the paint that's in there. The fact that I got to get going here pretty quick, I think I'm just going to glue this part on there and then call it a day. And just say that's done. I think that's what I'm going to do, and I'll clean my brush after I've done said my goodbyes for now. Just leave some thinner in there and that should be okay. Alright, so this is dry now already. Thank you, Tamiya, for making paint that dries so fast. Now again, this goes on here like this, and now you've got that nice, crisp, distinct line. Okay, which becomes a bit of a masking nightmare, right? So what I can do is put some masking tape in there now and then glue this on there, right? Which is what I'm going to do, and we will determine later on how effective this is. So let's get some tape in here, and I'm just going to do this. Again, like I've said, what a lot of guys do is they just shove a sponge down in here and not really worry about it. But that's not what I'm going to do. There's been plenty of times where I've built airplane kits and thought I should have masked off the intake before putting it together, because it was such a nightmare to get taped in the intake once it's all assembled. And yeah, I've thought that many times. This is actually the first time I'm actually doing it. So you guys get to see whether this will be successful or not. Or if I'm just creating a nightmare for myself. because now it's gonna come down to, can I get access to the tape afterwards to actually get it out of there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, so I think I've got sufficient masking tape in there now to, as long as when I'm spraying this thing, as long as I don't deliberately try and go on an angle too far, I don't think I'm going to mess up my white paint in there. So now what I want to do is kind of trim this off right on that edge. I'm going to try and see. Scissors are not the best for trying to get it precision, but get it close. If you're going to use a knife, make sure you use a really sharp knife so you can get that nice crisp edge. My knife has been used quite a bit for things other than cutting tape, so I think I'm actually going to change my blade. Quickly just use a much newer blade. Just for this particular moment. Sharp blade really does make a lot of difference. There we go. Alright, so with that done, just going to lift up the edge a little bit. Now that that's done, I can glue my part on. Put this blade away. My other blade is plenty sharp enough for everything else I want to do, so I don't need to change it just yet. Okay, let's clean this up. So all that rigmarole just to glue this part on, like that, okay? And of course we're going to find out later on if that was a mistake. Make sure it's lined up. We want it flat, we want it flush. Okay. And we're in. Okay, just like that. I'm going to hold it like this, get some glue on there. I'm going to hold it like that for a minute, let that glue set up. And this is where I'm going to end it for today, guys. Just going to hold this here for a minute, let that glue dry, so it holds it nice and solid. And that's where I'm going to call it a day. I've got more work to do on our exhaust nozzle. As you can see in the overhead camera, I'm getting somewhere with it. I'm not quite done, but I'm getting there. Yeah, just a little bit more to do a little more detail on that and get that ready. Got to do that, and then we can figure out what's going to be next after this. It looks like possibly getting this installed, but I'm not 100% sure yet, because of our whole landing gear not being done yet. So yeah, so I want to ask you guys to head over to my Twitch channel and follow me on there, and you can talk to me live and ask me questions and let me know how I'm doing and all that kind of fun stuff. I do have a something planned for my 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so if you guys are not already subscribed, please do so and hit that like button and leave a comment down below too. We've got a special event going to be coming up for when I hit my 1,000 subscribers, so I invite you guys to subscribe and check that out when it comes. And anyway, I'm going to leave this like this for now, and we will see you all in the next one.